Hi there, welcome back to Wild Bird Farm. Today I am excited. We're going to talk about Saponaria or Soapwort. Alright, if you have been around for a while, you may remember when I did a video on mountain mint and I called it the king of mints. Well, if I had to pick a queen early on in the season for a filler flower, I think it might be the Saponaria. So this is the first year I have grown it. I'm going to show you 3 different plantings. The first one here, we'll get a closer up. This is in an unheated tunnel. I started this by direct sowing, probably mid-March in here. We are now in mid-May and it is ready to harvest. Now, being my first year, I did some research on how and when to harvest, and I have read that the blossoms don't last an extremely long time, so you want to harvest when the stem just has a few open. Now, in warmer weather, this can be prone to wilt. However, we are having a cool spell, so I'm not too worried about that. But we are going to do some testing and see how much I think I'm going to love this plant. Now, I have also heard that Saponaria can be invasive in certain states in the United States. Now, from my research, I got these seeds from Johnny's, and I'm going to put the official name up here. But it is a different variety from what I have found in my research that can be invasive. So I'm going to put these 2 names up just because I don't want to mess them up trying to say them appropriately. But definitely do your research. We don't want to be planting things that are invasive to our area, but also something that might be invasive here might not be on the West Coast or down south or definitely in a different country. So do your research, but as far as I can tell, this variety that I am growing here is not invasive. Okay, I am going to do a little bit of harvesting in here, and then we're going to head out to the field and look at a couple more sowings. Now, from what I've read, these like a cool start and like to grow in the cool season. So I did 3 separate sowings. This was direct sown, as we talked about, and then I have a patch that I started indoors that looked really crummy in the plug trays, but has just bounced back outside. And then I did a 3rd succession I direct sowed out in the field. So we're going to look at all of those, and I'm going to let you know throughout the season how they do. So this is really tall. This is perfect for market bouquets and event work. I'm wondering if we heat up quickly though, if the successions in the field are going to get as tall. Hopefully they at least get to 24 inches so I can use them easily in bouquets. So let's do a bit of harvesting here, and then we will head out and look at the other sections. Now these are a one and done, so I can cut them down quite close to the ground, or I can take off less. Whatever I need, they're not going to reflush. That's why we're planting them in successions. They're really nice and branching. Now this one has more open than probably I should have let it go, which makes me think for a patch like this that's maybe like 3 by 4 feet, I'm going to have to come out a couple times to harvest. Now these stems in here are really thick and sturdy. They aren't even what I would consider wiry. I was kind of assuming that's the kind of stem they would have. But right now it isn't too bad to follow it down to harvest. The stems and leaf pattern actually remind me a little bit of Buplurum, if you're familiar with that and you haven't grown Saponaria before. Really, really gorgeous. I can see these being really useful on larger wedding installations as well. Now I do have some in this patch where there's only a flower or 2 open, so I will probably leave those for a bit and just harvest these that have more open on the stem. Now in here, I did not net these, and as you can see, they are quite tall. Sturdy stems though. I'm gonna watch those that I have out in the field. I would assume that I probably want to net these, but we shall see. I've read that most people do net them. We get high winds around here, which makes me think that would be a good idea. In here, it is more protected while I have had the sides rolled up. The wind was coming right in on these guys, but at least this section, because they have pretty sturdy stems, didn't need netted. Now, while the flower pattern is definitely different, I might also put this as kind of a similar filler flower to agrostemma or corncockle. I'm looking over here because I have some almost in bloom, but none that I can show you yet. The flowers are bigger and they aren't like a spray type like these, but it does look like they're going to be similar to bloom. As far as timing, specifically both planted in the tunnel and then out in the field. I didn't get my agrostemma planted quite as early this year, but I think they'll be probably blooming at a similar time. So these could maybe be something that replaces that if you don't care for corncockle. Corncockle also comes in white and pink. The Saponaria that I know about is also in white and pink, so similar colors. So I just like to, in my mind, kind of compare what is blooming in a similar season, and then pick which I prefer. So maybe I'm only growing one of those things. We are out in the annual field now where I have my 4 garden boxes. Now this one here is a bit of a weedy mess on this side. We're going to be tarping this. This is actually the sunflower succession box, but since I knew Saponaria was a one and done and was going to be on the early side this season, I put it at the back of the sunflower box. We'll get in closer here, but this taller Saponaria that you can see in the front is those that I started in plugs and planted out here about mid-April. They were looking pretty cruddy in their plugs. A lot of them had 2. I just planted them out and hoped for the best, and they are doing quite well. And then back here, I need to get in here and get this weeded again, but I came through and did 4 rows, very thickly self-sown, of the same pink Saponaria. So this, I think, will be the one that is the test to see. This probably isn't going to come into bloom until mid to late June to see how tall we can get, because it's generally pretty warm here at that point. So I do need to come through here and weed. I'm actually planning to do that this weekend, but then we'll just see how these do being a little bit later sowed. So let's get a closer look. Okay, close up here, these were the plugs. They are about 6 to 8 inches tall right now, so we need them to get taller. Now I see this one over here I want to take a closer look at. I am a little worried those are blooms already, and that is not tall enough. So we're going to watch this and just see what happens. And then this is the direct sown stuff that was put out even later. I would say I've direct sowed this probably mid-April, mid to late April. And again, I do need to get in here and weed, but you can see 4 lines here pretty densely sowed, and they go about down to here. So while they're looking good, I think the true test will be if these get tall enough before the heat of the summer kind of stunts their growth. Again, I haven't grown this before, but from all my research, it likes cool weather. And it is a one and done, so we'll have to see how this does. Again, need to get in and weed this. That wraps things up for today. Let me know if you have grown Saponaria before and maybe if you have replaced something else with it if you've really enjoyed it. We talked about the possibility of corn cockle being replaced with it, but I also have bachelor's buttons. Those come in kind of the light pink and pink varieties. Nigella possibly for the white. I really like to try new things and compare with what I have that I think is working. So rather than growing 6 or 8 fillers for each season, so right now we're talking for late spring, early summer, I'd rather find 2 or 3 that I really like and grow more of it. So that is kind of why I am trialing Saponaria this year. So far, so good as far as those that were tunnel planted early. Next season, my plan is to put in definitely more and do a couple successions in the tunnel and maybe start even a little bit earlier. But these out here that were a little bit later that are going to get into more June temps where it can get pretty warm here is to be seen how they'll do. Thank you for following along here. Please like and subscribe. I have lots more content coming this summer. Until next time.